Hey, what's up, Logos Psychology students? It is Wednesday, July 1st, 2020. That's right, it is July. We have made it through June. Before that, we made it through May. Before that, we made it through April. Going all the way back to March, we have been doing this e-learning thing. It is day 67 overall of our e-learning experience, and we are just about through week 4 of term 6. That's right, we got one more day in week 4, then we got a nice long 4th of July weekend, and then it's that final sprint to the end of the school year, just a couple more weeks after that. So kudos to you for all the hard work you guys have been doing so far. Don't give up now, just a couple weeks left to go. So let's go ahead and keep this thing rolling, keep on working. Let's keep on looking at our blackboard. So we'll go ahead and get out of here and into Blackboard, into our class page for psychology, 6th term, 3rd hour, either Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or you might be on the Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule. This is a 3-day-a-week schedule because of the group that we still have, but whatever hour of the day you do it doesn't really matter because you're at home and you're not in room 136 at Logos, but hey, we might be in a couple months, right? Again, we're talking about next school year already. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We still got some work to do for this school year before we're done with it. Looking at the e-learning instructions, I do want to mention that class Zoom meeting note. We got our class Zoom meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m., our weekly Zoom meeting at 9 a.m., and that will be the last thing assigned for this week because we will all have the day off on Friday and next Monday. Nice long holiday weekend. So please keep an eye out for the link. We'll be popping up for that Zoom meeting on the bulletin board later today. We also, I'll be sending out an invite to that Zoom meeting via the email and Blackboard messaging system. You can also find the link for that Zoom meeting tomorrow under the assignments tab. It's under the assignments tab because it is an assignment. It is for a grade. And again, it's an easy way to bring your grade up. You don't have to say anything. You just got to show up for those Zoom meetings. We like to see people in those Zoom meetings. But if you don't want to share your picture, that's fine too. Just be there. And more so than just improving your grade, it will hopefully allow you to interface with me and I with you, and we can both gain a little bit of knowledge on the topics we've been discussing. Speaking of topics, we have a new chapter, same topic, but just a slightly different approach to this topic. So if we go to the topics tab, we'll see the topic we've been working on is theories of personality. And we've been working on chapter 14 in the textbook, which outlines the different theories. And I think we came up with, there was like either 5, maybe 6 broad theories and more theorists within those theories that they outlined in chapter 14, beginning, of course, with Freud and his psychoanalytic theory. And as the new theories came along, they became more scientific, more testable, right? I mean, Freud's theory is great. He, used his own personal research to come up with those theories, and some of them still hold up, but a lot of them don't because they're not testable. How do you test for an unconscious or a subconscious, right? And that's where some of the more scientific theories like behaviorism and trait theory came along as a response to that. So chapter 15 is all about testing, right? And so we're starting this new chapter. You see the download right there of the first section of chapter 15. If you click on that download link, we will see why psychological tests are used. That's the first section of this chapter, talking about psychological tests and why they're used, right? What we learn about is that psychological tests have been around for a long time, just like, again, going back to Freud. He had his own tests. The question is, were they good tests? Were they valid tests? Were they reliable tests? And that's what a lot of this first section that you'll be reading today or tomorrow has to do with, is how you develop a good test. There are plenty of bad tests out there, right? But this is all about setting norms, I think was the first step, right? Establishing norms, establishing validity. Validity is a big concept in testing, which we see here is the extent to which a test measures what it's supposed to measure. And then establishing reliability, which is measure of a test's consistency. For a test to be good, it has to be valid and reliable, right? And then talks about the first type of test called personality inventories. This is the first type of personality test. There'll be lots of different tests that this chapter discusses, but personality inventory, as the definition right there says, is a list of items about a person's beliefs, habits, hopes, needs, and desires. It's an inventory. It's basically a bunch of questions to try and learn something about you and all of those things, your beliefs, your habits, your hopes, your needs, and your desires, right? And there's lots of ways that these can be administered. Usually it's just a checklist, like a true or false or a yes or no, but it's a lot of questions, hundreds, right? And they're used in a lot of different circumstances. They're used in schools. They're used in employment, among other things. The military uses these types of things. But you do have some pause for thought questions, right? The section goes on beyond these 4 pause for thought questions for a couple pages to a critical thinking section, which will help you in answering number 4 of those reading questions. Sometimes, to apply for a job, you have to take a personality inventory, and that's what this is all about. Is that a good use of a personality inventory? So, again, this chapter gets into the difference between a good test and a bad test, whether it's reliable or valid, but then also a good use of a good test. A test can be good, but it can be applied in the wrong way. And that's kind of what this applying critical thinking section gets into. Is that if you're applying for a job at Target, is that the best use for a personality inventory? Maybe, maybe not. When is a good use for a personality inventory? That's what we're getting at here. That's what these pause for thought questions are getting at. And as always, you can answer those pause for thought questions in a couple of ways, either by answering in the embedded Google Forms, which is embedded right here under the topics. There it is, chapter 15, page 435 to 441, matches up with the reading. But you can also find these under the assignments tab, right? You can always find active assignments under the assignments tab. So you want to answer those 4 pause for thought questions, and then also under the assignments tab you'll find question of the day. You want to answer the question of the day. So let's take a look at this question of the day. And we've discussed this actually in some of our Zoom meetings for those of you who've been here, so you might recognize this type of discussion which we've had. It came up just as part of the discussion, but now we're actually going to be learning about it in the textbook, so it's very relevant. Have you ever taken an online personality test? Do you think these tests are valid or reliable? What kind of criteria would you use to determine whether or not a test and its results are legit, right? Because like I said, there are plenty of online personality tests out there. If you're on any kind of social media, you will see your friends post their results and a link to take this test. Is it any good? Is it reliable? How do you know? What would you use to know? There's lots of different criteria you could use. Just looking at the name of the website and the address can tell you a lot, right? Is it a .com or is it a .org? That's a big deal, right? Or a .gov or a .edu. That tells you a lot about the legitimacy of this test. But then also you can kind of, beyond that, look at the questions and what they're asking and what they're saying your answers tell you about yourself. Again, there's a lot of not reliable, not valid, not legit tests out there, but there's a lot of good ones. And so how do you determine what's good or what's not? If you've never taken one, you should. It's fun, right? It's not supposed to tell you, predict your future, tell you what job you should have or who you should marry or anything like that. And people sometimes use it for that, but that's not really, it's just for fun. It's just to learn a little bit about yourself. So I encourage you to do it, but make sure you do a good one. And we will discuss that more in the Zoom meeting tomorrow, if you like, how we determine what's a good test. Maybe an Enneagram would be a good personality test to take. I'm going to take that Enneagram one of these days. So yeah, if you have any questions or concerns, as always, please let me know. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in that Zoom meeting tomorrow. Peace.